Hello, we just finished watching The Village of Angels, and Farron, are we just going to give our initial thoughts?
We are going to give our initial thoughts on the episode. These may change as time goes on. I found that with most of the episodes this series, to be honest.
Exactly like the Sontaran episode, like we got tricked into
Mm.
liking it because the performance of the Sontarans, but overall it's not a
Yeah,
really good
yeah.
story.
And the first episode as well.
Exactly. I don't feel that different to episode 3 because it was still bad, but anyways, Farron, what do you think about this episode?
So overall, I liked this episode. I think it was good. I think it was genuinely really creepy, like a lot of really good scares and a lot of frightening moments that I really liked. The angels were really well handled. I think Chris Chibnall can handle like pre-existing monsters really, really well, and it's clear he understands them. You know, say what you will about his writing style, but I think we can all agree that he handles pre-existing monsters well. He did the Sontaras really well. He's done the Daleks really well. Not too keen on his interpretation of the Cybermen, but I think that the Weeping Angels have followed in that trend, and he's handled them really well. And he took the concepts that Moffat made, and he's elevated them, and he's used them to a great extent. I think the pacing was a bit slow towards the start, and a couple of things did just seem like convenience. Like there were a lot of just surprisingly, oh, that's convenient, moments like that. I think the performances of everybody was really good. Jodie was great once again. I think Yaz was a lot better this week, and I think Dan was a lot better this week, actually. So, solid episode all around. Some issues with pacing, but overall, I did quite like it.
I actually agreed with everything you just said, man. The Weeping Angels, was so good. I honestly think the Angels were better handled since Series 5.
Wow.
I feel like Chibnall did his research because a lot of the stuff like the TV, the photos, etc. He did his research. He knows the villain pretty well. Everything was really good. The mystery going into the episode was so fantastically done. Yeah, I enjoyed myself. So, Farron, what do you think about the characters and villains of this episode?
So yeah, obviously I just said that Jodie was once again really good this week. I really enjoyed her performance. All the acting with the people in the 60s was also really, really good. I didn't mind them. I really liked what was his name? Jericho? Yeah, Jericho. I really liked him. He was quite cool. We got the guy from the In-Betweeners this week. I don't know why he was there, even. Why was he there? Why was he there? That whole subplot was a bit like just what's it doing here? But on the whole, I really like the characters this week. I really like the idea of a rogue angel. So yeah, overall for characters and villains, I can't really fault any of them this week. They were all very well written. A lot of the dialogue was really good. Felt very naturalistic. I know that's just a bog standard thing to say about dialogue, was that it sounded naturalistic at least. But for Chibnall, and what we've been saying about him for the past 3 years, I think that's a big thing, I guess. But yeah, characters and villains, can't really fault them. Very good.
I love the characters in this episode. And one thing that we've been saying throughout this era of Chibnall is that Chibnall can't work with an ensemble cast with so many side characters, the main cast.
Yeah.
But I feel like this episode handled each character perfectly. I enjoyed Jericho. He was such a brilliant side character. I loved his personality. Really warmed to his character. Yaz and Dan, good, nothing special. They were just there with the child. And by the way, I freaking called it. The old woman was the child. I called on the group chat half an hour before we found out.
You did. You did. Yeah.
They look similar. And she said, it's happening again. And she even watched the old couple getting teleported by the angel. So she knows something. Jodie did a great performance. She took lead, she take charge. Still a little annoying in places. But that's just her character. And and that's sort of not the character I sort of like in the Doctor, but glimmers in this episode that I like from her. But the Weeping Angels were perfectly handled. I loved them. I was a bit nervous going into this episode because I felt like, Stephen Moffat didn't write it, and we have Chibnall, who's ruined my childhood. But no, he did really, really well. However, I do like the idea of a rogue angel. It's great. It's a great idea. But the idea of the angels working for someone it just reduces their mystery. I was just like,
yeah, I agree.
Just don't deepen it, guys. It's like you're added, like in Series 5, they added too much, and it's just they was just sort of like, oh, I don't even know the word really. It's just don't.
Although it's not the first time that they've done that, because they did it in Class, didn't they?
Yes, and I feel like
Yeah.
are they gonna set up to go into their home world? I feel like just make them. They're not a villain to deepen. They're a good creepy villain. But the big reason why in Blink we don't know too much about the angels, and we fear the unknown, and that's why they were scary. Now we know we're gonna know a lot about these angels, and it will just cheapen their jump scares, etc. But overall, yes, it was great, and I love the characters. I want to see them all again in the next episode. That's a good sign compared to last week. And we won't talk about Belle because she's annoying and a flat character. Right, next topic. Visuals, the location, anything of the production in general. Farron, is there anything you picked up apart from, the camera looks nice? Anything you want to say?
The shot of them on the beach with the two shores coming in when they were in Claire's mind or whatever, that was really, really cool. I love the use of color there. It was a nice, weird looking blue. Some CGI was a bit weird. I was a bit like, ooh, that's very questionable. Especially with some of the stuff with the Belle subplot. I was a bit like, that doesn't look too good. And it was just as I was thinking to myself, this episode actually has really nice visual style. And then we got to that bit and I was like, oh dear. But apart from that, are we allowed to talk about the music in this segment or not? Is this anything technical?
This goes to anything in production.
Seeing Akinola is really, really good, and I hope he stays on when Russell comes back. I think he's a bit underrated, to be honest. I think he's a very, very good composer. Some of the visual effects, just in general, I feel like the production values, in terms of the visual effects, they spent more money on the other episodes in the series. I feel like they splashed all the cash on episode 1 because episode 1's visual effects looked absolutely stellar. And then here it's like, no, Claire's clearly got foam wings. They're clearly just styrofoam. It was a bit weird.
I got nothing really to add because I agree with everything that Farron has said. When we saw the Weeping Angel's wings when Claire was in the bathroom, I kind of I smirked. I smirked at that scene. It just looks so fake, and
it was a bit
it doesn't feel. It felt really unnatural, like it was an actual costume on her, not an actual wings. It didn't really feel connected. It was just a costume for a Halloween party, which was crap. Sorry. But the visuals, I felt like when they passed the sort of street and there's space kind of split in two, I loved that. I think the visuals were great. However, the whole Belle's subplot was a bit
questionable CGI there.
Yeah, I'm gonna mention why that's bad. But even some scenes in the background where you see a complete destruction, it doesn't feel like it's there. It feels like they just masked it and found an image on Google Images and color corrected it and masked it in the background. That's sick. But yeah, visually it was great. Apart from that, thus, Farron, I know this is our favorite segment of the review. So it is time for the cringe of the week.
Yay. We were both in sync, right?
Yes, I didn't know who should go first.
No, right.
I was like, if I start and then you just come in a bit late. Yes. What's your cringe? If you have any.
My cringe of the week is probably going to be the questionable CGI that we saw on that planet, or Claire's obviously foam wings, unless they weren't foam, in which case we're just wrong. But yeah, possibly one of those two. I think you should probably pick from one of those two.
Yes, and I agree with that. I felt like this background CGI green screen when we saw the sister of Swarm with that close up was just eye rolling. So I feel like we're both going to agree that the CGI is pretty damn cringe for this week.
Agreed.
Right, before we get into final verdict, let's read out the other two members' opinions of this episode.
Okay, so this is what Sam said. Strangely, for a Chibnall episode, I've come out of this not really knowing what to think. There were some interesting ideas amongst some nonsensical ones here and there, but this wasn't enough to keep me properly engaged. Perhaps I'm just too numb to the angels at this point to really enjoy myself watching this episode. Claire and Jericho were good side characters, and the TARDIS crew were fine. But other than that, I genuinely don't know what to say on this episode other than it is definitely better than Once Upon a Time. No rating this week. P.S. The cliffhanger was pretty cool.
This is what Corey said. My thoughts. Horror, tick. Tension, tick. Suspense, tick. That was incredibly well done. The angels were realized brilliantly. The story was engaging. That cliffhanger was so shocking. The little division didn't take way too much from the story and reminds us of the other plot thread running through. And then Farron said, oh shit, that ended.
Yeah, because I finished watching the episode a bit later than everybody else. Also, you know, I realized we didn't actually talk about the ending. Could I just briefly talk about the ending?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the ending was genuinely so freaky. I think the concept of turning the Doctor into a well-known monster is one that is so obvious and yet has never been done before. It was literally a concept that was staring us in the face. So I'm so glad that it's finally been done. And it was so creepy, man. Like, you know, I said earlier that this episode had some really genuine scares. That was the one thing that made me go, oh shit, you know, like that's insane. The Doctor's a weeping angel. It was really cool, really creepy. Loved the ending.
But yeah, let's get to final verdict, Farron.
Okay, so my final verdict on the episode, I'm going to give it a solid 7.5. I think it was really good. Quite possibly the strongest episode of the series so far. Creepy, engaging, fun characters, you know, really cool set pieces, really intriguing concepts. It was the angels were really well handled. And I really liked it. So yeah, solid 7.5 out of 10.
I'm not going to give it a rating just like Corey. I feel like I should just wait until the finale. It's really strong, maybe the highest that this Chibnall era has. But I felt it wasn't just the angels were making it great. I felt like the characters, like the side characters. I feel like I even want to see Jericho in his own spin-off episode after this. I love this character.
I can see them doing it. I can see Big Finish doing a miniseries. I can see them doing it.
Well, credit me, guys. But yeah, it was a really high episode. I can't wait for episode 5. Generally, I want to know the answer. I want to see episode 5. But yes, please write down your reviews in the comments below. We would be so pleased to hear your opinion. It will probably differ from ours, or it might be the same. We might agree. And if you don't want to write in the comments, make sure to join our Discord server. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and make sure to check out our theories during the week with Corey and Sam, who will be theorizing episode 5, which is very exciting. I wish I was there. Bit jealous. Screw you guys. But yes, right.
It was a bit harsh, wasn't it?
Love you guys, really. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Bye.